Good, let's take a comfortable seat and we'll get started. Saturday morning yoga practice. Good to see you all. Just taking it in. I have to scroll through your page here to see. Yeah. Susie, your cat is still watching the same TV show as last time. Must be very captivating. Oh, your dog, excuse me. I keep calling her dog a cat because it's the size of the image and the shape of the tail. Okay, well, I'm glad you guys are here. Let's sit comfortably for a few moments. We will start class with pranayama, so if you haven't yet, it's a good time to blow your nose and then come into your quiet seat. And you can rest your hands in your lap. You can also place the hands out over your knees if you prefer that. And you're welcome to close your eyes. And perhaps for some of you, you actually are just awakening, so this is the first activity of your morning. And for some, you may be earlier risers and you're coming to yoga class having had some activity. So if you're just arriving, you may have to help your energy become more alert. If you're coming in from activity, you may have to help your energy come down a bit into your body. For all of us, we meet up in the present moment. So try to take in the sort of surround experience of the present moment. Your senses can let you know here you are in the dimensions of the room or the garden in which you are sitting and practicing. The sounds that remind you you're in the present. The temperature of the air on your skin. Any sense of taste or aroma. And the sensations of where your body is connected to what you're sitting on and the ground beneath you. We have a phrase in yoga where we say, the present moment is our only true refuge. What it means is the present moment is the only moment that we actually have. We can think of past or future, but we're only dwelling in the now. The present moment is our only true refuge. Also means when you become overwhelmed, anxious, worrisome, for example, about the future, take a time out from worry and come into the present moment refuge in your body, in your breath, in your practice. When you are working with rumination or reviewing a painful past, or even the past you wished you still had, we also set that aside and take refuge to come within. So the practice welcomes you to be, we say, in touch with reality as it is. So now you can start deepening your breathing, and let's use the Ujjayi breath very lightly so you can hear the silky smooth sound of the breath in your inner ear. Open the back of your throat a little bit like you're going to be yawning, and let the breath move up and down the central channel of your body. You might notice how encompassing your breath is for the first few breath cycles. Like, to what extent do you feel the first third of the pelvis, or the second third of the torso, or the upper third of the heart? Or to what extent are you facing challenges with your breath this morning? Please do 3 Ujjayi breath cycles more. And notice not only how the geography of the breath is and its tone or pace, but what's happening at the top of your inhale with the pause, at the bottom of your exhale with your pause. And keeping in mind that as you arrive in this refuge, you're getting a lot of information about how your mind, body, heart, and spirit have been experiencing the last couple of hours or days. You're also going to be renewed and recalibrated, so how you approach what's to come will be drawn from your yoga practice. With appreciation for both the information you receive and the inspiration you'll generate, now please bring your hands together at your heart. Come into Anjali Mudra. And we'll chant together Sahana Vavatu, Sahanao Bhunaktu. Let's begin. Sahana Vavatu, Sahanao Bhunaktu, Savidyam Karavavai, Tejasvinavaditamastu, Ma Virvishavahai, Sahana Vavatu, Sahanao Bhunaktu, Savidyam Karavavai, Tejasvinavaditamastu, Ma Virvishavahai, Sahana Vavatu, Sahanao Bhunaktu, Savidyam Karavavai, Tejasvinavaditamastu, Ma Virvishavahai. Om Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Om. With your exhale, as you bow your head to your heart, acknowledge both the information you will receive from within your practice, reflecting yesterday, many yesterdays. Acknowledge the inspiration to come from your practice, and that we're here to take refuge so these two things can occur simultaneously. And you can release your hands. Please open your eyes, and sitting up straight and tall, put some awareness in at the solar plexus and the diaphragm right here. We're going to begin with Bhastrika, rapid, strong exhale out through the mouth. Let's pace it together like this. Exhale completely to the end of your exhale. Then inhale through both nostrils and bring the breath first, middle, and upper third to hold the inhale at the top. When you hold the inhale, brighten and lift your chest and your heart. Then exhale through both nostrils, a long, smooth exhale. Go all the way to the end. At the end of the exhale, your belly is going to be the most toned, and then You deeply relax so you're a recipient of the next inhale. And we will do Bhastrika again, and we will use Nadi Shodhana for our inhale suspensions. When you're practicing inhale suspension, remember to lift the chest and the heart. So you do snug the low belly in and up, and you are using the chin, so all three bandhas will be there. Let's begin with Bhastrika, the exhale. Exhale all the way to the end. Inhale through both nostrils. Hold the breath. Close the right nostril. Exhale left side. Now inhale left nostril only. Hold the breath. Exhale right nostril only. Inhale right side. Suspend. Exhale left side only. Relax completely. And we're going to move to Kapalabhati, and because so many of you have been practicing this with me over the last several weeks, when we do the Nadi Shodhana for Kapalabhati, I'm going to ask you to consider keeping the nostril only partly opened, the one that you're inhaling or exhaling through, that you're kind of using only half of the nostril or maybe 2/3 of the nostril. And that is to further kind of work with the pressure system of the breath. If this is all a new practice for you, you can keep the nostril completely open when you're doing it, because it may already be enough just to have only one nostril. We do exhale Kapalabhati through both nostrils. Okay, so let's begin. Exhale completely. Inhale slowly from the bottom to the top. Suspend. Close the right nostril completely. Leave the left nostril only partially open, and exhale. With a partially open left nostril, please inhale. Suspend. Close the left nostril completely, right one partially open. Exhale right. Inhale right side. Suspend. Exhale left. Relax. Now we're going to repeat that, and what we'll be doing with the inhale, suspension, and exhale is equaling each of those on their length. So inhale length, inhale suspension, exhale length will be the same. Let's begin with Kapalabhati. Exhale completely. Then inhale slowly. Try noticing the length of your inhale now, and use your inhale suspension to equal the length of your inhale. Close the right nostril, exhale left, just a partially open nostril. So inhale left nostril, counting the length of the breath. Suspend. Exhale right, equal to the length of the suspension. Inhale right, equal to the length of the exhale. suspend. Exhale left. And sit quietly. When you sit in this quiet, notice now your relationship to the word refuge, taking refuge in your practice, in your community, in the teachings of yoga, taking refuge in the present moment. And bringing this inner quality with you, let's please come up to standing. We are going to take a wide stance in Prasarita Padottanasana. And thank you, Susie, for helping me with my cameras. So in this wide stance, I'd like you to reach back and clasp your hands. Let's make the feet parallel. Interlace your fingers. Roll your shoulders back quite strongly. Okay, and now root down into your tailbone and let your hips come only so far forward as like in line with your toes. So you are going to have a little opening at the hip flexors or the front of the pelvis there. And then raise up through your heart, lift your collarbones, and you can have a little standing back bend. Yeah, you look great. So keep your foundation stable. And as you roll your heart up, also lift your chin, respect your neck, but stretch the front of your throat. And then with an exhale, glide your hips back. And as you come forward, bow over your thighs. Keep the hands clasped, please. Release the weight of your head. And strongly squeeze your arms towards each other, shoulder blades towards your spine, and also take the shoulder blades towards your hips so you lengthen the back of your neck, even as the arms are coming overhead towards the floor or the garden behind you, or in front of you rather. I'm just trying to shift my view so I can see you guys. I'm having a little trouble with my mouse. Okay, there we go. So when you're squeezing the arms like that, there's going to be moments where you have to kind of refresh the squeeze because your arms will get a little bit tired. So let's do it for 2 more breath cycles and make the arms a little bit more enthusiastic to the best of your ability. And then begin the process when you exhale, root down from your sitting bones and your tailbone towards your heels. Bring your heart forward. Begin making a back bend with your chest and your spine. Glide your hips forward in line with your toes. Raise up through your heart. When you open your throat, actively lift your chin and stretch the muscles on the front of your throat. And then simply bring your head up to center. Release the clasp of your arms. Now arms wide. And let's take the right elbow over the left, please, like you're doing eagle pose. Wrap the arms around. We're going to address the upper back, neck, and shoulders today. So when you come into this position, raise your elbows up to the height of your shoulders. It's a little bit higher for Katie. There you go. And stretch your elbows forward of your shoulders so the back of the heart, the back of the shoulder blades gets more broad. Now let's inhale And then glide your elbows to your left, look over your right shoulder. And take a deep breath in. We're going to keep the elbows interlaced, and when you come back to center, then let yourself come down with the arms clasped together. Let gravity support the release of your elbows, your shoulders, your head, and your neck. Now, even though we're letting the elbows kind of reach towards the floor and the shoulder blades can widen, I'd like you also to think of lengthening your thoracic spine inside this pose. So reach through the crown of your skull, lift the base of your skull to line up your spine so your chin is not rushing towards your elbows. And as you lengthen your thoracic spine and your cervical spine, press your elbows away from your heart and down towards the floor. Now, making the legs strong, on your next inhale, let's pretend we are like an eagle taking flight. Release your hands, your wrists, your elbows. Inhale, rise up, arms wide, like the air is under the wingtips. Beautiful. And then take your left elbow over your right. Weave the arms around. This is the upper half of a pose called Eagle Pose, Garudasana. Lift your elbows to the height of your shoulders, please. And then glide your elbows to your right. Look over your left shoulder. Take a deep breath into your upper back, the back hemisphere of the heart and the shoulder blades. And then when you exhale, bring the elbows around to face forward, and let's come down so that the arms woven together are going to help to stretch your upper back. And as I was saying on the first side, I want you to keep lengthening your spine. So this might feel like you have two opposing actions. These actions are collaborating with each other, but they are in opposition. Stretch your elbows towards the floor, but lift the base of your skull to lengthen your neck and spine. So the back of your pose should feel broad, while the front of your pose, your elbows reach towards the floor. Take a deep breath into your low belly. Breathe in through both nostrils for all of this. And then we're going to be taking flight again. Release your hands, your wrists, your elbows. Inhale, arms wide. And then take your arms up overhead. Clasp the hands and take the heels of your hands skyward. Okay, let the hips come a little bit forward in line with your toes. And as you raise up, make a little standing back bend. And then exhale now, arms wide, and this time as we come forward, reach your hands forward like you're going to be doing downward facing dog pose. So come up high on your fingertips, please. Lift the centers of your palms. Stretch your arms straight and strong and glide your hips back from that place of traction. So as if your fingertips were sort of glued to your yoga mat, you can pull your hips back for traction for your spine. One more time, please breathe in through the nose. And then walk your hands back towards your hips. Please rise up to standing. Step your feet into mountain pose so you're hip distance apart. And pause to relax and just see, okay, what's happening now? When you get still, take refuge in the present moment, even the refuge between the last yoga pose and the one to come. And then let's step into Surya Namaskar. We are going to be working with the neck and shoulders today, so in this Surya Namaskar, we'll take a little detour when the time comes, and we'll be playing with Sphinx and Cobra and so on. So please step to the front of your mat. Join your hands together at your heart. Good. Press all 10 toes down, and if you haven't yet, kind of spread the toes out so you feel like you really have a wide foundation. And then root your tailbone so there's a sense of your own center and your stability as well. And here we go. Breathe in. And like an eagle soaring, sweep the arms wide and float yourself forward and then down. Press into both blocks to more firmly tone your low belly. Inhale, glide your heart forward. Come up to your fingertips. Open your throat. Exhale, bow towards the legs. Think of it like squeezing a sponge. You're going to squeeze out the exhalation. Once more, inhale, glide forward. Raise the back of your heart, the base of your skull, then bring your collarbones and chin forward. Take your left foot back, please. Exhale. Okay, let's inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. And when you're coming up, lift your gaze at the very top. And then exhale this morning, come over to airplane pose. So just hovering but not resting on your right thigh. Now inhale, rise up again, root your tailbone, float up, lift your gaze. You can imagine you were like a bird experiencing the high open air above the trees or the mountains. Do your best to pace the movement of your body with the length of your breath cycle. We'll do it one more time. Inhale to rise up like a bird, taking flight. Beautiful, great. And then exhale, arms wide. We're going to touch the blocks this time. And step backwards to downward dog pose. A really open pose. Then exhale forward to plank pose, gaze down between your thumbs. Inhale to cat pose, like a parachute for the back body. Exhale to cow pose, bring your heart forward. You have extra long arms for this cow pose. Yes, inhale, glide forward to seal pose. Now here's the tricky part. Exhale, slide your shoulders back. You're coming forward and down to cobra. And then we're going to press back up to seal pose. And I'd like it to raise your heart, collarbones, and then also your chin. And then exhale, plank pose. And inhale, downward facing dog pose. Okay, let's exhale, left foot forward, plant your left heel, and using the breath 5 times, we're going to rise, and 5 times also descend. So this is called airplane pose here. Inhale, float up. It's so fun for me to see all of your wings going in tandem together. There you go. Inhale to rise. You root down through your support heel and your support hip. In this case, it's the left leg. Exhale, airplane pose. Good strong back leg, Evelyn. Inhale, rise up. Keep your left knee in line with your third toe. Last one, exhale, arms wide, forward, down. And inhale to step forward. Then exhale for a deep bow towards your legs. Inhale, rise up, like taking flight. And exhale, hands to your heart, like coming home for refuge. So even the refuge between the last sun salutation and the one to come. We're going to insert a little work here in mountain pose for the neck and shoulders. So you're going to inhale, sweep both arms up. Once the arms are up, then exhale, cross your elbows, touch the opposite shoulder blades. This means that the wrists are crossing and you've got the back of your head pressing into your hands and your hands pressing into the back of your head or your forearms. Okay, so inhale to go up. And then exhale, sweep up and come forward and down. And we're going to rise back up and do the same sequence with the other cross of the arms. So inhale, sweep your wingspan wide, come all the way up to standing. Then cross the elbows opposite. And inhale to reach up, press your head back into your arms. And exhale, float the arms wide and come forward and down. So just taking notice of what that was. Let's inhale, glide forward, please raise up to your fingertips. Exhale, left toes back, establish the strength of your basic lunge. And then inhale, rise up to Crescent Lunge. And for this one, bend your left elbow, place your left hand at the back of your heart, and hold your right hand on your left elbow. And let's go up with the heart. So you can consider from your left foot through your left thigh, left hip, left hemisphere of the torso, up to your left arm, left elbow, and your left hand on the back of your heart. You can go back down through the lumbar spine, left butt, left hamstring, left calf, left heel. And then raise both arms. Then let's exhale, float wide, forward and down. Downward facing dog pose, please. And notice how the two hemispheres of your body are in relationship with each other right now. And inhale, glide forward to plank. Gaze down between your thumbs on the floor. Broaden the back of your heart here and lengthen the back of your neck. When you're ready, you're going to inhale to parachute into your cat pose. And then exhale to cow pose. And inhale, roll forward to seal pose. Nice, beautiful. Exhale, shoulders back, collarbones wide. That's right, come forward, forward to cobra. It is down, but it's more forward than down. Then inhale, rise up, seal pose. Also lift your chin. And exhale, plank. Gaze down between your thumbs to the floor. Inhale, reach high to downward facing dog pose. And then exhale, step your left foot forward. Press into your right toes. Inhale, glide up. We're going to stay up. This time you're going to bend the right elbow and hold your elbow with your left hand. Yep. And I know that not all of us have the same flexibility in the shoulders. And some of us, the upper arm is not as tall as the top of the head. So sometimes it can feel like your arms and your head are having an argument. So please arrange so that you feel like you can celebrate going up with your right elbow while keeping the relationship from your right heel through your right leg, right hip, right side waist, up to your right elbow. And then inhale, raise both arms high. And exhale like a bird soaring over the air. Come forward, touch both blocks, and inhale to step forward. Exhale for a deep bow towards your legs. Please reach back to interlace your fingers at the small of your back. Give a good strong squeeze of your shoulder blades towards your spine. Energize your legs and inhale, rise up. And keeping your torso upright, hands clasped, let's do a little standing back bend. And then rise up, release your arms. Rest completely. Arriving in the refuge of this moment. Place your hands on your shoulders, please, like this. I'd like you just to check. I'm going to back up so my head isn't getting cut off. Just check and see if you bring the right elbow forward and up. Other elbow forward and up. Keep your hands so each hand is on its own shoulder. Notice if one elbow goes up more easily than the other. When you're rising up, lift your rib cage like a hot air balloon. Keep your fingers on your shoulder blades if you can reach them. Maybe you can even feel the spine of the scapula. That's the bone that goes across the top of the shoulder blade. And can you look up slightly? So that action, I'm going to ask you to come upright now. That action we're going to put into the next sun salutation. And it's going to be there when we do the pose called side angle pose, Parshvakonasana. We're also going to explore it on the blocks in a certain way. It'll be in Sphinx Pose. So let's join the hands together. You may not know where we're going, but I have a sense of it. So again, into your Ujjayi breath. We'll inhale, hands down, wide palms up. Lift your rib cage, lift your collarbones. At the upper part here, the shoulder blades go gently down your upper back, just slightly. And then a little standing back bend. With an exhale, pull yourself up and forward and slowly down, Uttanasana. Now inhale, glide forward, open the side waist and also open your throat. And now exhale, step your left foot straight back. Okay, bring the right block tall under your right hand. Pivot your left heel to the floor behind you. And now I'd like you to sweep your left arm down, forward, and then rotate to side angle pose. And place your left hand on your left shoulder blade. So you're going to bend your elbow and try really deliberately reaching with your left elbow. Rather than having the arm straight where you're pulling with your fingers, reach from your left elbow. Let's keep both legs straight and strong, right? And keep the tailbone anchored so your pose has integrity. And you can give attention to your left shoulder blade, left shoulder, left elbow. So as you reach with your left elbow to make the side waist longer, you want to have a sense your left shoulder blade is hugging the upper back. So the shoulder blade, rather than just being drawn up towards your left ear, you want to press your left shoulder blade into the back of your heart. Now breathing in, keep the right inner thigh long, and then reach your left arm also long. And as we release your left hand back down towards your block, go ahead and pivot your left heel up from the floor, touch the block under your right hand down, and step forward. Let's enjoy Uttanasana, then we'll do the other side of the same standing position. So glide forward through your heart, and then take your right toes back. Put the block under your left hand tall. Pivot your right heel so your heels line up front to back. Reach your right arm forward and open your pose to your right. And again, check that your legs, of course, they have their integrity. And you're going to hold your right shoulder blade with your right hand. And as you reach with your right elbow, try to get a sense of the length you're encouraging on the right hemisphere of your body. simultaneously that your right shoulder blade can hug into your upper back. In the process that you're working through, again, remind yourself to have integrity in your legs. So you reach from your right hip to your right heel. Lengthen your left inner thigh. Keep your tailbone anchored and your back waist broad. And then as you lengthen your left inner thigh, also lengthen your right arm. And exhale and bring your right hand back down to its block, which is possibly on the medium setting right now. Tip the left block down and step backwards to downward dog pose. And notice in downward dog pose how things are feeling here in your body. What is the inner conversation? Let's inhale forward to plank pose. Exhale, touch your knees down to table pose. Take the 2 blocks for your forearms to go on and place your elbows in the center of the blocks from front to back. Put the palms together like a steeple. So you first put the palms together, then separate the heels of your hands so your fingers press against each other. And then reach your hips back. And the elbows should not fall off the blocks or cause your blocks to tip. So the hips are not in child's pose. It should feel a little bit more like puppy dog pose. As you've got the elbows supported by your blocks, lengthen the sides of your waist, open the back of your heart. You may release the weight of your head. Let's imagine that both hands could touch each one its own shoulder blade. Right now your fingers are probably relying on each other for the position of the hands, so you don't have to actually separate your hands, but imagine that each hand would touch its own shoulder blade. And let's roll forward. You're on your forearms and your knees. Bring it into Sphinx Pose with your elbows elevated on your blocks. We have arrived. Nice job. Press down through your elbows and also through your thighs. Lift the low belly up and breathe. Yeah. So here we want the collarbones to be wide on the front and the breath smooth. So this is seal pose, Sphinx pose with the blocks all combined. It's like a hybrid. If your upper back feels open enough, you can begin to lift your chin. And then you're going to bring the chin towards your throat, bring the heart towards your shoulder blades, your diaphragm towards your back waist, low belly towards your lumbar spine, and reach it back one more time to this kind of puppy dog sort of pose. Keeping your elbows stable on your blocks is important, so give a little check to that if you need to arrange something. And as you glide back with your hips and your spine, think of the length and the inner space, not just how much can you open your armpits, because those are not as essential as your lungs and your heart. So we do want, the chest and shoulders to open, but this is not just to exploit the hypermobility of the armpits. If that's your experience with your physical body, please be thoughtful. And then roll forward to your elbows. Walk your knees forward. And sit back to kneeling with one block for Zazen. You did it. You made it through the shoulder sequence right there. So rest your hands now in your lap, palms face down. And once more, we're going to take refuge between the poses you were just doing and whatever is to come next in your practice. You can close your eyes and drop inside. Notice the energy you're awakening in the neck and shoulders, in your upper back and your heart. And listen for the possibility that there is a quiet refuge inside, your inner refuge, between maybe the calamity or the mayhem or despair of the world and the actions that are going to be yours, whatever those might be. We just take refuge right now. And we're going to release from Zazen, and please take a blanket to roll up to sit on. We're actually going to use it for the knees before we sit on it. So I would like you to roll it. I know this is familiar for lots of you. It might not be familiar for everyone, so I will explain. You're going to roll this, roll it firmly. You are rolling this to elevate your knees for child's pose. For those of you for whom your knees don't bend this deeply, it is helpful to put something either behind the hamstrings and calves, like in between them, or you can do the same kind of practice from two chairs, sitting in one chair, which means knee flexion is kind of released from the process. You will be doing the practice going to the second chair. So that's one of the adaptations that we can do. And here I want you to just test drive that when you come forward and you'll be able to come down towards child's pose, you're going to have the block ready for your head, or 2 blocks or 3 blocks, whatever you need. So when I come down here, my elbows are right in front of my knees also, so it's a very snug and sort of supported child's pose. It's not an effort to keep the hips to the heels because we elevated the knees. So now I'm going to ask you to watch me just once, and I will encourage you not to feel concerned about me, how long my exhale pause might be. No concerns for you. Okay, so this will be inhale while I'm upright, exhale while I'm going down. When I'm down there, I will not be breathing in, but I also will not be holding the belly muscles that made the exhale. You squeeze your belly muscles, exhale, 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 and then when you're holding the exhale out, you actually relax those same belly muscles. So it looks like this. Here's my inhale. And then my exhale. I'm going to exhale completely, completely. That does mean the low belly muscles are working, and then the exhale gets held out. And then I'll inhale to come back up. And then we would exhale to proceed for the next one. Unless you need to have a pause there in the middle, you can have what we call a catch-up breath cycle, like a little sip of air or a kind of recalibration for yourself. Okay, again, please don't make your knees uncomfortable. I don't want you to have a distraction with knees if anybody is facing that. So you could do this sitting on one chair and then bowing forward so your head goes to the other chair. And that way you get the spinal flexion that we're doing here, but your knees are not so involved. Okay, so let's start with the inhale. If you put your hands over your knees and think of the inhale as pulling the inner body up rather than the shoulders going up, it's the inner body that's going up. Let's do the inhale for that together. We'll begin here. And then exhale and glide forward. You're coming down slowly, making a child's pose. You can turn the palms face up if you like. Exhale completely, and then holding the exhale out, release the muscles that made the exhale. When it's your timing, you're going to inhale through the nose to rise back up to sitting, and you'll either continue consecutively for 3 more breath cycles, or you'll have a little catch-up breath and then try it again, little catch-up breath, and then try it again. At no point should you be making yourself feel breathless. It's a strong practice, and you're just doing your best to learn something. You'll be thoughtful and respectful with your body. This will be the last one. When you come up, you can pause to sit without conversing with yourself, only resting. We have this rolled blanket, which is so nice to use for the upper back. So I'm going to ask you to take your blanket. You'll be lying down on this in just a moment. Check that you've got this end where without the tassels, that you rolled it firmly enough that this actually feels pretty snug here, not loosey-goosey. And you're going to be sitting on it so that when you lie backwards on this blanket, my recommendation is that you first lie backwards so your head is on it, and you've got the very end of the blanket roll right at the occipital ridge. So you place your head, it's like right where the hairband goes. And what's going to happen for some of you, when you place the occipital ridge right there, your head is not quite going to touch the floor past the blanket, and that's okay. Gravity will help you in a few moments. Let the base of the skull be supported by the blanket roll. Close your eyes. And rest your attention right there, a gentle sense of pressure at the occipital ridge. Now observe what happens within your mind, your body, even in your face, when you have that little pressure at the occipital ridge. And very slowly let your head roll down to your right. Keep the left shoulder reaching back towards the floor. And then roll your head back to center. Notice the occipital ridge as you roll your head down to your left. Keep your right shoulder heavy on the floor. And roll your head back to center. Relax at the center. Float your left arm overhead, past your left ear. And roll your head down to your right. And for just a few moments, rest the back of your right wrist on your left temple. You're simply encouraging the head rotation to be a little bit more than your head on its own can do. So you put the back of your right wrist or forearm on your left temple. Keep reaching your left arm past your left ear. Now release your right arm and roll your head slowly back to center. You arrive at the occipital ridge. Lower your left arm and raise your right arm overhead. As you go overhead, rotate your nose to your left as far as it comfortably goes. And place the back of your left wrist or forearm on your right temple. And roll back to center so you'll be with the base of your skull at the edge of the blanket. Relax both arms. And then scooch yourself down the blanket so your head is going to go off the blanket now and scooch down until the blanket is just below the 7th cervical vertebrae. And you'll know that that's the one if you reach your arms overhead and the fingers go to palpate the spine. The 7th cervical vertebrae is the largest one at the base of your neck and the top of your thoracic spine. So put the blanket roll right there just below the 7th cervical vertebrae and place the arms into cactus pose. Lengthen your chin to come down towards your throat. And take your floating ribs and just tuck the floating ribs in gently, using some abdominal support, but not to the point of the abdomen feeling rigid. And rotate your head as far as it can comfortably go to your right, and place the back of your right forearm on your left temple. You're adding rotation right here. Press your left shoulder down towards the floor. And roll your head to center. Place your arms in cactus pose. Rotate your nose as far as it goes to your left. Take your left wrist to the right temple. Press your right shoulder down. And roll this also back to center. And scoot one more vertebrae off of the blanket. So now the blanket is kind of right between the upper parts of your shoulder blades and what's called the spine of the scapula. If you were to touch on the front of your sternum where the blanket is behind you, it's just below the sternoclavicular notch, that little hollow spot right there. Let your mind rest, and as you bring your chin down towards your throat, imagine your thinking mind taking refuge in your heart. Now bring your arms down alongside your torso, palms face down. With the knees bent, squeeze your shoulders down towards the floor, and you might notice that your shoulder blades will squeeze the blanket a little bit, so give it a good squeeze. And as you press your shoulders down to the floor, roll your hips up to bridge pose. I'm not expecting that your upper back is going to stop touching your blanket. I do want you to squeeze your shoulder blades in towards your blanket. But I also want your shoulders to be able to make it down to the floor. So if your blanket is too thick, if it's too high on your spine, you have to rearrange. So the shoulders can actively press down into the floor, and the shoulder blades actively press in towards your blanket. Use your upper back to support your bridge pose. We'll do 3 more breath cycles. When you come to your 3rd exhale, begin the process of lowering your spine. Reach your arms across the front of your chest and scoot back off of your blanket. You can lift the hips and put the blanket aside. And come to lying on your back, please. Okay, now when you lie down, let's take the arms and legs a little bit like a starfish. And keeping your throat and your neck relaxed, you might even turn your head side to side like like a rag doll. Just check and see how it's feeling. Okay, and then with your heels and toes, we do this little activity. You're basically pressing with the toes. It's a little pulsation that your feet make, and it's toes and heels and toes and heels, and it makes the whole body rock. Keep your neck relaxed. The tongue is relaxed. Relax your eyes. This particular rhythm is like pulse, 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 like that. At the same time, you're going to turn your head really slowly right and left. So your body has 2 different rhythms right now. The pulse you're making with your feet is way slower than the rotation you're making with your head. You can think of the head like the old sprinklers that my father used to have for the garden. And it went so slowly. When it got to the end, it went quickly back to the beginning. We're not doing that part. And a couple times more, a few more pulses. You can think of in just a few breath cycles bringing this to stillness. And if you haven't yet, you can then let it go. Notice what is happening in your body. I encourage you to smile at the happenings. Just like a little smile of appreciation that your body is doing its sort of body intelligence thing, right? We're going to rest to integrate. It may feel subtle, the amount of medicine you just encouraged in your body through this practice, but there was actually quite a bit going on, so please rest and let the wisdom of your body thrive inside as your mind can take refuge in the simplicity of the present moment right here. So observe your body going from activity to stillness, exertion to ease. Invite your body to get heavier with relaxation, more deeply still against the ground.
And again, allow your body to get heavier. Any place you sense your connection with the ground beneath you, give yourself a little more fully to those sensations. Now, as you welcome the mind and the body to both be deeply still, as senses take refuge inside, let no one thought pull you away. Now, over the next few moments, welcome some awareness of the physicality of the body. Very quietly roll your head to your right and just sense how gravity welcomes the muscles on the right side of your face. And bend your left knee. Place that foot flat on the floor. Raise your left arm and roll to your right side, using your right arm as a pillow. You may stack the two knees and come kind of like to the fetal position. And then press yourself up to sitting, and perhaps your blanket roll will be suited for your seat. As you rise up to sit, rest your hands in your lap once again. And come into your upright meditation seat. Notice the quality of your mind. How has it been nourished by your practice, and how well is your mind able to drop in? We sometimes say meditation is like it's a natural state you arrive to with yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, that is tending to your senses, dharana, experience of concentration, and then dhyana, the meditative state. Please bring your hands together at your heart. Now, with as little effort as possible, see if you can follow. We'll sing and call in response. Triambakam, Triambakam, Yajamahe, Yajamahe, Sugandhim, Sugandhim, Pushtivaranam, Pushtivaranam, Urvarukamiva bandhanat, Urvarukamiva bandhanat, Mrityoramukshi, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. Very nice to see you, to be with you.